structured that, you know, again, we own the real estate, we own everything in the practice, he owns client services. It could be somebody else comes in and buys that piece and we continue working with that. You know, that would be devastating, number one, but, you know, we have to look at where do we sell the whole kit and caboodle, and his estate would get that piece. So there's a couple different ways, and you know, it's the way it's structured. It could be sold, could be.
We don't know the answer to that.
So we really don't know the answer to that, but because of the way it's structured, it doesn't leave us, you know, too out in the woods.
Okay, but again, when you start something, I agree with you, but the first thing you ought to do before you start deciding on who's gonna own and what have you, is you do the what ifs. What if somebody dies, what if somebody gets divorced, what if somebody gets disabled? And talk about that in the beginning, because then it's unemotional, because nobody knows who we're talking about.
Right.
You try to put something in place to be able to cover those things.
Interesting enough, my brother is divorced, and we were looking to do this a number of years ago, and I'm glad we didn't, because, you know, the divorce would have been very messy in that whole thing. So it is actually much cleaner. The time frame we did it, it ends up much cleaner than having something like that in the mix. Yes.
So it sounds like you can bring business back into the home really easily, but I'm sure in any marriage or relationship, there's plenty of friction that happens at various times. Has that ever imposed itself into businesses?
Oh, you mean, do they hear us yelling at each other? Absolutely. In fact, a couple of years ago for Christmas, we got boxing gloves from our employees. So it's sitting on the shelf in my office. Big red ones with Cindy and Wes on them, very, you know, nice and on the ground. So yes, but less so now. More so when it was a little more stressful years ago, but less now because it's just easier. I call them like oiled machines at this point. They just kind of run themselves, and Wes and I, again, do not have the stress level that we used to. So, a
So
little
can I ask
easier
you
now.
this? Yeah, when my dad retired and he gave Lois, my wife, 51%, me 49%, is that a smart move?
For as far as the woman-owned business piece of it and having, woman-owned business doesn't have play maybe like it might have had in the past from a winning bids and things of that nature. I had some government contracts where sometimes it was advantageous. State of New Jersey did away with the whole, you know, woman-owned business having a, you know, an advantage. So does it play in here or there? Yes. Is it huge? No. I don't believe so. That hasn't been my experience.
So you think my father did it to try to take advantage of some of those things as opposed to he liked my wife better than me?
Probably, but and maybe in that, you know, when that was done, maybe it made. But if you look today, it's.
We don't see it as a big factor.
We don't see it as a big factor. Like I've won all this business because I'm a woman-owned business. Yes.
With you having found the company in 1991 and Wes joining a little later, was there a difference in ownership, if you don't mind me asking, or how do you guys go about that?
No, it's pretty much.
100%, it's 100% ownership in the books in Cindy's name, but in the state of New Jersey, so it's, don't have to worry about that.
And it's just, you know, everything personally it is what it is, but if you have to look at paper, that's the way you might see it.
And did you offer your employees any equity in the company to incentivize them?
Why would you do that and for what purpose?
Just motivation and empowerment. You're empowering them, you're giving them motivation that the harder you work, the
So
more.
you're giving them stock in a closely held company that doesn't really have any market value, is that a motivation?
Well, the future one. Today might not have value, but if you work, that this can be worth more than the salary you're making every year. That's, I would see that as motivation.
I see it as motivation, not as empowerment.
It's
So-
yeah.
motivation, correct.
Did you offer, I didn't get that.
We did that for one, like Cindy said, we had an employee that we thought about who was for long term. So we did a phantom stock offering for that particular individual. So the way that's structured is not really giving it a true piece of the pie.
Phantom stock was in chapter 22, we haven't gotten there.
Right.
And after going through two of those events, actually, and now we have this third person, we find, you know, it's not for do. I'll be honest with you, it's where we won't do that again, or, I just won't answer. We're too far along, the two of us to put that kind of position. Maybe if we go to sell or something someday, that might be more, something we should look at. But right now, it doesn't make any sense to have to do that. Again, most of our employees are with us for a long time, and we have a huge loyalty, which is also a big part of our success as well. Yes.
How do you incentivize your employees?
Most of the time it's bonus-based, and we also have a very nice 401k and profit-sharing plan for, the longer they're with us, the more that plays in. But mostly bonus-based on, good work for any particular project or something of the sort.
And just to follow up, one of the ways we do bonuses in the organization, the bonuses are clear, defined, the kind of upfront bonuses, and they're given at a time, as opposed to waiting for the end of the year. Here now I have an expected bonus, it's going to be 10%. We bonus people along the way. We landed a very large contract, we finished implementation, we went out, we celebrated, and people got their bonuses because we delivered that project on time then. And that helps take away that stimulus of saying, well, I'm just going to get my 1 to 5% bonus at the end of the year, and it's not an incentive anymore, now it's an entitlement.
Well,
It's almost expected sometimes.
It's expected, right, they expect that.
Yeah.
So you take that away and they give it right then and there, and it varies. It really does vary, it's just not an overall, it could be an individual bonus, it could be a team bonus, so I'm very creative in that way.
Now, also too, for our top salespeople, they have company cars, things of that nature, nice company cars. So there's other things than just monetary.
So what did you
checks.
really, do you think was the fringe benefits that really motivated them, or was it the bonuses? What do you think worked better, or worked
I
best?
think it's the overall company model and setup. I think our people really enjoy our environment and enjoy working for us. I think that's why they're around a long time. And we do compensate well, especially the people who have been with us so long, because it's nice too for the customers. They can pick up the phone 10 years ago and probably the same person, they did then. So longevity with clients plays into that whole thing too. So it's our environment. We're very easy to work for. It's a number of things. It's not just all about money.
Cindy, what
Flexibility, family
did you and
flexibility.
Wes hear about Babson before you actually came up here? Anything?
Yeah, we knew it was, a business school, an entrepreneurial type school. We knew of it, obviously from working with you for so many years, but just from the outside. Yeah.
Okay.
No. Yes.
So for your loyal employees, do you hire like a lot of family members of your loyal employees? Have you ever had to come across such a situation?
We have related employees in our company. We don't have any, I guess through networking and through, indirect family. There's some of that in our company, very indirect family, who brought in other very indirect family. But for the most part, most of our people are found via our existing employees.
But no, we haven't hired people who say, hey, I got my loan employee, we hired my son for something like, I think that's where you're going.
We actually have,
And there are positions, there are seasonal jobs that we do have come in
Right.
in the summer between that, in which we need a certain temp pool to fill some of our businesses. And of course, they fit into that, but as a core part of the business, we haven't.
we actually have a mother-daughter, and I actually sought the daughter from the mother, because I knew she was graduating new job and would be a good fit for my junior sales team, so.
Okay. Those telephones always do that. Go ahead.
So given you've worked in like a number of different industries, what would you say is your favorite?
I'm loving the whole pet thing, especially with Fairylicious. It's actually Fairylicious and Babylicious. I don't know how much you know about it, but Ferrylicious is a high-end pet salon and pet boutique with high-end products that you won't find like in a Petco or a PetSmart. It's, you know, jewel collars and beautiful beds with beautiful fabrics. But in Ferrylicious, I also have Babylicious, which is a baby boutique, all kinds of baby items. So it's a very unique setup, and it's retail and it's services to consumers, very different from working huge corporate deals. You can't even compare the two when you think of, you know, doing a deal with DCA and selling a sweater for a baby, you know. But the fun factor in Ferrylicious and Babylicious, I mean, it's like I'm not even working. It's just fun. So
Is it
DCA
the way
is
it used to be when you first started
Right.
DC? Or is it
no. When DCA was stressed.
special? Okay.
Yeah, DCA. Well, it was. You know, you're dealing with a whole different ball game. It's much easier to sell a little sweater than it is to sell a $100,000 system, so to a corporate client. So it's a very different thing. You can't compare the two. Yes.
Okay, just in terms of Babylicious and Ferrylicious, how did you get the value to provide to your customers, and how did you find the need that they had to get that kind of stuff?
Well, we have 4 dogs,
Okay.
and 2 are big labs, and then 2 are my little babies, little doggies. And I guess when a number of years ago, when I got the first little one, I was like really crazed with dressing her and buying her cute little collars and this, that, and the other thing. So I kind of got this itch to do it, you know, being what was that, EIH or what's that term?
Yes.
And eat, well, that's just, I was like, oh, I gotta do this myself, you know? So, I did, and now it's like, I had visited a couple of boutiques. I bought the little pups at a little boutique, nothing like what I have today. And then my sister's actually in this business with me, and she lives in Manhattan, and we visited all these great boutiques, designer boutiques. I mean, you'd be surprised what some of this stuff sells for. And we did our homework. We went to a number of boutiques in the city, and interesting enough, we saw one that was carrying some baby items. So we said, oh, that's an interesting kind of turn of events. And then on top of that, the retail space we're in is a brand new retail space on a very busy road in a nice area in New Jersey. And all of a sudden, what's going in there right next to our store? A baby and toddler daycare center. So that was like the icing on the cake to say, well, here it is. We'll do Ferrylicious, and we'll put the baby stuff in there. And that's how that happened, and it's been phenomenal. Just, it's fun, it's great, it's picking up every day.
Okay. Can I ask you a favor? When you see a lot of hands, can you make the answers a little shorter so we can get a lot of?
Go ahead.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just gonna talk about, I mean, you say it's doing great, I was just gonna talk about the economy and how maybe you combat that, because it seems like that industry would be one to suffer, you know, people not splurging on their pets as much anymore. I think the location has to do with that, or what?
Well, location was one, because remember I moved it from where I was going to, so that was a key factor. We're in a very affluent area in New Jersey. And the pet industry, what is it, Len, $55 billion a year?
You know, you're actually gonna do a project for Blue Buffalo, and you think people don't spend more money on dogs and cats than they do on their kids?
Yeah.
You got a lot to learn.
And that was part of it. I knew that. I knew it from the veterinary business. So I had no, I mean, we basically opened a brand new retail business in a recession, and I didn't even think twice about it. So far, so good. We're providing a service with just not the retail, because we do have a salon.
Yeah.
So you mix it all up with the baby and the furry boutique and the salon, and you got a number of things. And then we're going to expand, maybe open another store, go e-commerce, so we're good. We're good. Go ahead.
You have all these businesses that are like, you know, with your brother and your sister now. If you have, like, I mean,
My
Yeah.
husband.
yeah, and your husband. Now, if you were like supposed to, that, you know, you have an argument with like one of them, it carries on because like your entire family's in on this.
Are you talking about your family or her family?
Her family.
Okay.
No issues there, not even concerned. I have a great relationship with both of them. My brother respects on the business side of everything we've done, my sister as well. I've always been very helpful, or tried to be very helpful to them in what they've been doing. With Wes's my good fortune, so, you know, if I can work with them and do some other great stuff. My sister has been unbelievable from the infrastructure of Furrylicious and Babylicious. I couldn't have done it without her, and obviously I couldn't have done that hospital without my brother because of that, so.
So then how do you draw a boundary, maybe if you could say for with something like, if you want to implement something that your sister or your brother did not agree upon, and you believe it's theirs and like, you know, that you should and they don't, so who would get to say, like,
I would get to say,
you get to say?
I get to let us work.
That's,
And then your next question is, does she have anything to do with Wes's bicycle business?
do you have
Or is
anything to
that-
do with
Yeah.
West
No.
business? West Side business.
That's his hobby that pays a little bit, so.
We don't want to use the word hobby because the tax people
Yeah,
could.
taxman coming. Anything else?
Yeah.
Yes.
The trend that I seem to see is that DCA provided the financial capability of going into these passion hobbies, I won't say hobby, but those other
Absolutely.
businesses. Do you think that if you stuck with DCA and didn't diversify into these other businesses, maybe DCA would be more valued at a higher price to it?
No. Mm-mm. Because I have staff that's doing what I used to do, and it allows me to do these other things, which is great. Can't, you know, it's the best it's ever done. So, no, DCA is doing very well, and it's always, you know, we're not huge, we're about a $6 million company, but we're extremely profitable. We have a huge annuity client base, annuity revenue, and we run very lean, but good, and it just very great.
I really think that an entrepreneur wants to start a business, but I'm not so sure that there's a certain point that when they come to managing the day-to-day, it loses its passion.
Yep.
And it's time for something else
Yep.
exciting to start.
And that's exactly where I am. Exactly where I am. I'm done kind of with the day-to-day with DCA, and I'm able to still see that it churns and do these other things that, like I said, it's not like it's even working. Even for the DCA stuff I do, it's not like I'm even working. It's just, you know, a lot more fun. Go ahead.
Yes, with DCA, like, do you find that most of your clients are one-off clients, that they'll have all their images, all their documents scanned and put into a computer database? Or do you find that they keep on coming back every
They
year?
keep on coming back.
It's definitely a renewal business, for sure, as you expand in the technology changes. What's nice about our technology, it needs to be refreshed. So here we have an existing client base, and, you know, we all hear terms of cloud out there in the marketplace, meaning on-premise solutions going to off-premise solutions, and so
And
we're
even
looking
things
for all that
like,
as well.
we're starting to get into a lot of e-forms or distributed electronic form data capture, which is just an add-on and an evolution, as well as SharePoint. You all know about Microsoft, how we've got Microsoft SharePoint. Well, you know, every corporation is going to have SharePoint now. Well, how do they get those documents into SharePoint? Well, guess what? It comes to somebody like DCA, because we have the pieces that can feed that system. So what are we doing? We're hooking up with the whole Microsoft team and everything else. So it just keeps evolving into other technologies.
Eric,
Wait,
Eric.
you have any other questions?
Wait, hold on just for a second. Again, is there anybody who hasn't asked a question yet that wants to ask a
Eric.
question? No, airtime, except Eric. Eric is not.
I was wondering how you took the environment at DCA from the stressful startup environment. When was that point where it kind of translated into a workplace where you had a company culture?
Probably about, I'm going to say.
So we're 20 years old now.
Yeah. I
Um,
would say probably in the late 90s.
So how many years into the business?
I would say probably like 5-6 years into the business when, you know, it wasn't just me consulting and running crazy, and, you know, we started putting more infrastructure in place.
Do you feel like the stress carried over to your employees, or how did it affect company culture when you started hiring more than just yourself?
No, because it got better at that point, because we were hiring people that could do some of the things that made us crazy, so.
The
No.
company culture was actually
Except early on.
turned into more of a company culture instead of a West Sydney, more company culture. And that was now your team-based selling, team-based solution providing, team-based solving problems. And so that made it better.
And just to give
along
you
the
an
way.
idea, There's administration with Westside and, you know, a couple other administrators. We have a sales force. We have a huge, you know, a good-sized technical team. And then we have programmers. So that's kind of the environment that we're in.
Did you ever create the demand for your product, or was it there and you just saw it and other people did not see it?
Demand for the technology has been there. We created the demand to use us versus our competitor. More so than ever now, we can pretty much go in and knock out the competition for our core competency pretty well because unlike some of our competitors, our people have been with us for so long. So we just have this way to go in with the right people, with people who have been doing this technology for so long versus a competitor who has a green person off the street. So we know how to, you know, present. We know how to do a very consultative sell, which is key in a technology business. So we go in and we make the customer feel like we're giving them some free consulting and solving their problems for them. We're there with our very queued up tech people, so you know it works well that way.
Your core people at the same time, do you perceive them to be a possible threat? Like as you said, you took your potential GM from a competitor.
Well, I do, you know, flight analysis, you know, seeing, hey, if somebody leaves, what will that happen to our organization? You know, when you're young and you're small, you lose a team of 4 and you lose one person, guess what? Yeah, that's a big chunk. So that is really is an early thing that you do worry about. And even to today, I'm constantly looking at projects. I look at our salespeople, how much do they have knowledge with a particular client. I constantly make sure I'm bringing other folks in, project managers, lead text people, to if that person left, I had other people fill in my shoes. So in the early days, I had no choice. I needed somebody with a core competency. Guess what? He's going to know all that stuff that Cindy doesn't know, that I don't know, and it's all going in, you know, his thing. And as you grow, you really try to
even it out.
So at the end of the day, one of the things Cindy and I always said is that, hey, you know, as a lot of businesses are, if we had to, at the end of the day, it was just her and I, could we still satisfy a lot of our clients' needs and wants? Yes, we could. So we always try to make sure that going forward, you're constantly evaluating that. Big issue.
How many employees do you have?
20 people.
Yes.
How do you bring about change in your organizations? Do you do it gradually, or do you do it right in the beginning you incorporate it all at once?
Gradually.
Very graduate. You know, one of the things Len was saying about, you know, that thing about entrepreneurs are very risky type of people and things. We look at over the history of what we do, everything hasn't been that huge risk going out there. She started a business while I was very successful in my previous company. So therefore, we mitigated that risk along the way and constantly staying focused, staying true to our core and our expertise. And we really do. We're a very minimized risk company as we
We've
go
never borrowed
forward.
a dime to fund any of the businesses. It's all been through our own.
Put down calculated risk taker, you'll pass the exam. Calculated risk taker. Alex, you do the last one and then I'll take over.
So why don't you do additional services in document protection or security, because you already have the client's files? Why don't you do additional revenue streams that can be so easily added?
Well, there are a lot of additional revenue streams that we can take on. There's a host of them surrounding our industry. And we're very careful about what ones we want to take on, not take on.
Like one of the biggest ones we do right now is we do on-site scanning for people. We bring the equipment, we bring the staff, hugely profitable. And, you know, in the past, I didn't want to get into actually scanning the documents. We just wanted to put the systems in place so they could do it themselves. But then we had clients reaching out to us. Last year for Pfizer, we converted 7 million pages when they acquired Wyeth. We did it all on site with our equipment. They loved it because the boxes of Wyeth intellectual property came in and we scanned it, got it into their systems, and it was great. So Whitebird Realtors, we scan every mortgage file that they do. So that's been a big add-on in the last couple of years, where in the past I didn't want to do those services, but what time we had the infrastructure to do it, because it was a big undertaking with the equipment and everything. And now it's a big revenue stream for us, monthly revenue stream.
But more so, like, instead of building upon the technology and needing more people, why don't you try and use the technology to work for you and utilize it as a kind of, like, resource-free way to add revenue streams? Because it takes a lot to scan all of those at the client site, but
Could you answer Alex's question after? Thank you.
Anyone?
Okay, got a few minutes, and so you probably want some teaching, right? Where did I teach best from? A while back, okay, we had a case called Big Decisions. Big Decisions. And the key to big decisions was, okay, what percentage of stock should each person get? Does your memory bank bring that thing? And the key to that was to try to figure out before you started what weight you gave to various parts of the equation. You give more weight to someone who's going to put money in, more weight to someone who's going to put more time in, more weight to someone who's going to bring accounts in. Again, you'll face that throughout your life when you start a company. And then the question was, do you think about the contingencies? Divorce, okay, death, okay, what happens if that person leaves and takes a client with them, etc. So again, it was a great case to start with, because there's a number of times we've brought in former students of mine who started companies, and yet had a great idea to start the company with, and yet when it happened, something happened along the way. Later on in this semester, okay, we're going to go visit, okay, a former student of mine, okay, who started a gem business. And it's a fantastic story, except there's somebody who is not with him anymore who had the idea in part also. And we had Idea Paint in, okay, and again, the idea, the two people you saw in Idea Paint were not the three people who started originally. So that kind of thinking, I think, is something that you've got to think about when you start a business. So you say, who cares? Well, it must have something to do with a homework assignment for this week, and it does, okay? So the homework assignment this week is the B case of what happened there. Again, this is not a big thing. This is one of those things that I really want you to take now and email me tonight, because it's so quick. It's called a 15-minute rocket test. Okay? You take it, you read it, you come to a conclusion, because what do you predict they would be? Successful or not? That's all I want to know. Are they going to be successful or not? Got it? Email by 7 o'clock?
Sure.
Okay. Name tags, go over here with Stacy. Did you enjoy it?
yeah.
Yo, bro, right here. We can take a break for like 5 minutes, man.
Dude, I really want to finish this and get back to
can head back in 10 minutes. I can make coffee.
It's gonna be impossible to all the light is no point. What do you mean set up? Your car's not outside, see? It's closer where you have to go for it. But you do realize there's gonna be a 20-minute delay to everything that will be done, submitting a bond to like sign for working. Don't kind of say how we done by 25.
I said, well, I think 5 minutes break will walk in the light.
About for a minute.
First of all, this is about I'm not standing in the field. Sorry. Email me when you come up. I'll send it to him.
Meeting in the library.
I'm not sitting here.
President of Madison College, and I'm delighted to add my welcome to the fourth annual Latin American Entrepreneurship Forum. This has been, since I've been at the school, one of the most exciting opportunities for me to participate with our MBA students in the process of extolling the virtues of not only Madison as the #1 entrepreneurship institution in the world, but also the opportunities that can generate and create in the Latin America. Each and every year, this forum has gotten bigger and better, not only here on campus, but in terms of the ways in which it's connected to the Latin American region and the off-site locations in which it's expanded. And I just want to make sure that you mark your calendar now for April 20th, 2012, and make sure you're able to connect to or physically engage with the Latin American community. Thanks again for your attention, and look forward to seeing you next year.
So can you meet on Friday? So I'll text Max to find a time.
Well, let me say, most importantly, thank you for coming.